everybody, welcome back for another video. I've got my Humorex launcher here, and I want to talk to you about something I think is important and I think you should realize. The legal concerns about using something like this to defend yourself. And you don't even have to fire a shot. That's the point that I think is really important that everybody may or may not understand. So let's get started. The first thing I want to do is I want to take this thing out and I want to point it at you. And I think you should realize really quickly when this thing gets pointed at you and you just need a glimpse of it. And let's say you're not this close. Obviously, we're really close right now. And you can get a really good look. And you might be able to see something that tells you this is not a real firearm. This is a replica. This is a T4E Glock 17 Gen 5. So you may see that. You may also be smart enough and quick enough to tell that this is a pretty big bore. And you might catch that. And you may also, realize that somebody might have done a twist or they may hit something if they wanted to charge it and they may realize that. But legally, if you are in a situation where you're defending yourself and you take something like this and you use it, there's a risk there. And it's not the risk of being shot. I've talked about that before. That's obviously a concern for you. It's not a legal concern, but it is a real physical concern for you. But a legal concern is that the real risk is if you get in any type of situation where you're physically interacting with someone and that person is injured, whether it's by your fist or it's by one of these 43 caliber balls or you didn't even pull the trigger, you just pulled this out on someone and you instilled psychological terror on someone. The reality is, if you look in, I've done quite a bit of looking to see what kinds of examples where people have been legally charged for using something, and the most common is something like this, but not necessarily a 43 caliber. It could be a BB gun, and a lot of times it is a BB gun. It's something that a kid might have been using, but they went around and they physically assaulted someone, but then they pulled this out and they terrorized them. And what happens is whatever they did as a criminal act, whatever they were charged with, there was an extra charge put on top of it because you basically took that up to a felony because you're now, not only did you have some very minor physical interaction with someone, but by pulling this out, even it's not real, even it's a BB gun, you now add on extra charges, and it's not charges that you're like attempted murder, but these are aggravated assault. These are charges that will be relevant for your future. And as soon as you pull something like this and you intimidate someone, you're running a risk that you may cross a line. So you can't just pull these out willy-nilly and use it as a deterrent. I think it would work quite well in that case. And a lot of times you might be able to do that in the right situation at the right time. But there are legal precedents where there certainly are examples where a person was charged for using this to intimidate someone and just the fear factor. There's a big psychological factor that happens when you use something like this, and it's very significant. It's not something that you can just trivialize and say, oh, well, it's not a big deal. Think about how you would feel in that situation. And you have to use it wisely, because if you do pull it and you use it, you could be 100% in the right. You could be using it in self-defense, but somehow the law gets turned against you. Maybe you have a bad lawyer, they have a great lawyer. Maybe the person has a few valid points that you didn't think about. And then suddenly that BB gun that you used, which you thought would be insignificant, you're carrying it, you don't have to worry. It's a less lethal, it's a non-lethal. It is a tool that you can use that's going to completely keep you safe from legal consequences. And that's a big marketing idea that you see with things like Bona. They're very big on saying how this is going to be the peace that lets you live in peace and that kind of thing. And there's a lot of truth to that, because certainly you're not going to kill someone with this. So that's off the table. That's not an issue. And the issue of you being a target for someone is certainly something that you can mitigate, because you can be wise in using it only in the right situation at the right time, not in a public place. But if you do use this and you're in a private altercation and you're fighting and you pull that out, and then you continue to fight, and the person and you win, but the person has evidence that you have this, or the police arrive and you have this, the person can then go back and claim that you pulled this on them, and there's all kinds of things that they can claim. They can claim that you held them hostage, or that you psychologically abused them. There's many different aspects of what people could claim, because there's a lot involved when you have a firearm, or you think it's a firearm, pointed at you. And if you cross the line and you say now, and you're angry, and now like this person's attacked you, and now you've pulled this out, and you cross that line, and now you make a threatening statement, or you're acting in a threatening way, even if this is not real, even if you don't intend harm and you're just trying to scare them, that alone can get you in a lot of trouble. And there are definitely examples where people have been charged for taking it a little bit too far the other way, and then they throw on extra charges for this, and they treat it just as if it was a deadly weapon. They in many jurisdictions, this will be charged as using a deadly weapon, even though it is not, because of the psychological aspects. So that was new to me, and I did not realize that. And most of the time when you hear about someone using a BB gun and it makes the news, it's because somebody pulled out the BB gun and waved it around, or tried to pull it out, and there was 3 cops there, and it was suicide by cop, and the person was killed, and they found out later it was just a BB gun. That's by far the most common mistake that people make with something like this. But the other mistake is it's actually doing exactly what you wanted it to do up to a point, and then you cross a line where now you're now using it in a way that is instilling terror on someone, and that's a big no. You got to be careful. There is a line, as with anything. Less lethal has a line, and you can't just be free and loose with your less lethal, because it's not a firearm. I can pull it, and I can intimidate someone, and I can use language that goes along with the firearm look, and I can really make them back away, or I can tell them what to do, and I can tell them they can't leave, or this or that. And once you cross that, and you tell them you're going to hold them until you call the police, or this or that, that gets very dicey. And I'm not a lawyer, so my disclaimer here is that I am speaking from just practical experience reading. And I'm a reader. My entire career is research. It's reading what other people do, looking at the data from other people's work, analyzing, coming up with new hypotheses and new ideas, and then testing those ideas. So that's what I do. And so it's easy for me to dig into, find the data, and figure out what has happened, and then think about, well, what do we need to do differently? How can we approach our self-defense in a more practical and strategic manner that's not going to get us in trouble? Your self-defense is supposed to be a good thing. It's supposed to be a safety net for you, to make you safe, keep you safe. But if you are not prepared and you just have a tool and you don't think about it, you may use it in the wrong way, and it can create stress and legal trouble for you down the line. So it doesn't have to be a firearm to be dangerous to you legally. So just always remember that. And you think it's benign, you think it's a BB gun, or it's a .43 caliber, it's not going to cause really great harm. Well, the person on the other end doesn't always know that, and that puts the burden on you to behave exactly the right way. And that's the life that we live if we carry tools, weapons on us, and we intend to use them in certain situations. We're taking on that responsibility. So very important information, very important to think about that. Let me know what you think. And always, everybody be safe. We'll see you in the next one.